If you're thinking about moving to Austin, Texas, there's a pretty good chance someone's already told you about the northeastern suburb of Pflugerville. And honestly, a lot of people move here and they absolutely love it. I mean, you got family-friendly neighborhoods, you got Lake Pflugerville, and you got a lot of small town charm. But there's also a lot of people who are gonna tell you Pflugerville is just not their vibe. And that's exactly what we're here to figure out today. We're gonna hit some of the neighborhoods. We're gonna tell you about a lot of the schools. We're gonna go into the parks. We're gonna tell you all about the shopping here. Because at the end of the day, we really want you to know what life in Pflugerville, Texas is really like. But here's the thing. The number one reason that people either love or hate Pflugerville has nothing to do with the houses or even the schools. And you're gonna see exactly what I'm talking about as we get into the video today. So let's jump in. All right, so wanted to hop into my Google Maps here so that we can kind of just give you a lay of the Pflugerville land, and you're gonna see me marking it up with my zoom tool like a little first grader here. And I do not mean any offense to first graders by comparing my annotations to your handwriting, all right? So essentially what you're seeing on this map right now is everything that could possibly be considered the greater Austin area, all right? So this little blue dot where I am right here, essentially I'm downtown, and we go as far north as Georgetown, all the way down south to San Marcos. East, we would go all the way to Bastrop, and essentially west, we'd go all the way to Dripping Springs. So everything within those boundaries is considered the greater Austin area. Everything outside of it, so like, you know, Giddings is not considered in the Austin area. But you came here to learn about Pflugerville, so let's talk about it. All right, so Pflugerville is right here. It's gonna be just south of Round Rock and just north of Austin. All right, so let's talk about commute times a little bit. So here, we're gonna go into Pflugerville here. We're gonna zoom in. Let's say we were trying to get from Pflugerville to downtown Austin. And let's say we were leaving, or no, let's say we wanted to arrive at 8:30 in the morning in downtown Austin, all right? So they're telling us, Google Maps is telling us it's gonna take us about 30 to 55 minutes. Honestly, I would probably plan on about 40 to 45 minutes one way if you're commuting from Pflugerville down into downtown Austin. Now, a lot of people who relocate to Pflugerville, they're working in an area of Northwest Austin called the Domain. And that's where you've got like IBM, Verbo, Indeed, and a bunch of other tech companies. And so let's say if you were going from Pflugerville to the Domain, and let's say you wanted to arrive by 8:30, they're saying it would take you about 20 to 40 minutes. Again, I would say probably about a 25 to 30 minute commute one way. Now, let's say you were trying to get from Pflugerville, this is kind of downtown Pflugerville, to the Austin Bergstrom International Airport. And again, let's say you wanted to get there at 8:30 a.m. Let's say your flight was leaving at 10 or something like that. This is saying it would take you about 24 to 35 minutes. I would say definitely plan on 35 minutes because I don't want you being late for your flights, people. So 30 to 35 minutes, but plan on 35 minutes. All right, so let's do a little bit of a zoom into Pflugerville. We're gonna zoom in, we're gonna go north. And this isn't gonna be exact, but it's gonna be essentially what Austin people consider Pflugerville. So first, let's talk about what is considered Pflugerville. So to me, kind of everything in this area that I'm drawing right here, and way even out here, is gonna be considered Pflugerville. So let's talk about some of the main roads of Pflugerville. If you're trying to get around, these are the roads that you're definitely gonna at least wanna know about and that you're probably gonna use. Okay, so one of the most famous roads going right through the middle of Austin, it's kind of a northwest thoroughfare, is called I-35. That's short for Interstate 35, okay? I-35 is really busy. It's almost always super packed. I always say that I think I-35 was created by Satan, and so you are definitely gonna want to avoid Interstate 35 at all costs, okay? Now, if you're relocating to the Austin, Texas area, you really love the look of Pflugerville, you love the feel of it, but you're like, I want to live in an area of Pflugerville where I can be on I-35 as little as possible, you have to reach out to our team so that we can point you to the right direction, and more importantly, point you away from the areas where you have to get on I-35, all right? Now, parallel essentially to I-35 over here on kind of the eastern side of Pflugerville is Toll Road 130. Now, in my opinion, Toll Road 130 is a godsend. A ton of people use Toll Road 130. It's honestly not that expensive, and I think at this point, the speed limit there is like 85 to 90 miles an hour or something like that. And I personally have never sat in traffic on Toll Road 130. It's a huge way to get around I-35 and just to kind of traverse some of the worst bits of traffic in the Austin area, all right? Now to the north, you've also got Toll Road 45. Again, it's kind of like an east-west thoroughfare in like far north Austin up by Round Rock. Again, helps you get around a lot of the really terrible traffic. And then you know what? This is not part of Pflugerville, but over here is a big road called Loop 1. We call it MOPAC. That's short for Missouri Pacific. MOPAC is again parallel to I-35, and it's kind of the north-south thoroughfare of Austin on the west side of Austin. And the reason I bring it up is because a lot of people who are kind of living in these parts of Pflugerville, oftentimes what you're gonna do is you're gonna go up to 45, avoid the traffic, shoot down MOPAC, avoid I-35, and then the domain is right around here by Q2 Stadium. It's like just like right on top of Q2 Stadium where the Austin FC professional soccer team plays. Which again, if you want to take your kids or you want to go to an Austin FC soccer game, you're probably going to hit 45 MOPAC to the domain to Q2 Stadium if you're living in Pflugerville. All right, now another road that you're going to want to know about in Pflugerville is called West Pecan Street. This kind of goes all the way smack right through the middle of Pflugerville. And like that, you can see right here on the map, the historic downtown Pflugerville is just right here in the middle of this area. Super beautiful. You got East Wells Branch Parkway, again, big east-west thoroughfare. Gets you in and out of a lot of the kind of quintessential Pflugerville neighborhoods. And then this road right here kind of goes diagonal, kind of northeast, is called Wise Lane, I think it is. And one of the most popular neighborhoods in Pflugerville, which we'll talk to you about here in just a little bit, is right off of Wise Lane. Okay, now, one of the big dividing lines in Pflugerville is this 130. Now, there's new construction all sprinkled all throughout Pflugerville, but essentially, a lot of the stuff east of 130 is gonna be your like huge master plan communities, brand new construction homes. And then what is west of 130 is going to be, for the most part, like older, more established parts of Pflugerville. Literally like historic downtown Pflugerville is west of 130. That should tell you something. But if you're in Pflugerville, you're definitely going to want to know about Typhoon Texas Water Park. It is a really great water park that our kids have been to a ton for birthday parties and things like that. And like every time, you know, our team, we're driving around showing houses in the Pflugerville area in the summer, we're just like, Typhoon Texas, I just want to jump in you, you know. Over here, we've got Lake Pflugerville Park, super popular park that a ton of people go to. In Pflugerville, we'll show you more about that here in just a little bit. And then you've got the historic downtown Pflugerville. Now, I will say, historically, no pun intended, I would have told you, like, man, if you want nightlife in Pflugerville, you want stuff to do, you're gonna be missing out. But lately, like in downtown Pflugerville, they've got like a tasting room, a brewery, tap room, barbecue, restaurant, coffee shop, Pecan Street coffee shop, and some really cool stuff like coming in and around that historic downtown Pflugerville area. So like, do not sleep on downtown Pflugerville, all right? Now, one of the last things I always like to show you in one of these map portions of our video is where can you find an H-E-B in Pflugerville? So H-E-B is by far the best Texas grocery store chain. If you don't know, you don't know, and if you know, you know. So let's go ahead and look for H-E-Bs in Pflugerville, just so if that's important to you, you'll know that you're taken care of, right? Okay, so you can see right here, we've got an H-E-B kind of on the western side of Pflugerville, we've got an H-E-B on the eastern side of Pflugerville, and we've got an H-E-B right in the middle of Pflugerville. And I'm actually gonna tell you, I have been to this H-E-B, this newer H-E-B in the middle of Pflugerville very recently. Actually, while we were filming this video, Aaron and I stopped into the H-E-B and we were just like, dang, this place is stinking awesome. I've never been to this H-E-B before. I'm excited. And you know what? Someone said in a video recently, someone commented on one of my videos, I mentioned something about H-E-B culture, and they were like, there's no such thing as H-E-B culture. Yes, there is such thing as H-E-B culture. This is it. H-E-B culture is goated, all right? So if you don't know about it, you're about to. This one looks pretty epic. H-E-B chili limon chips, goated. Look, H-E-B deli section, goated. HEB peanut butter filled pretzel nuggets, goated. All right, actually HEB pretzel filled nuggets, goated. All right, but for real, siete salsa, goated.
Do you actually use that?
HEB pickles and olives, goated. There's Aaron buying his groceries, mostly made up of chips and pretzels.
Nutrition.
Nutrition, baby, ooh. Ooh, goated.
Oh, sorry, I forgot we can't.
Goated, goated.
We're not in the adult channel. Facing.
All right, so we wanted to bring you out here to one of our favorite spots in Pflugerville, and it's called Lake Pflugerville Park. And so it is a big old, I kind of consider this like a giant pond, kind of a small lake. You got people swimming over here. There's people fishing right behind me. I've seen people mountain biking out here, walking the trail, kids playing. Like, this is just like a quintessential Pflugerville spot where a lot of people and families and kids come to just play and just be outside. I actually have several friends who have done triathlons that start out here. So people actually, like, literally there's a girl swimming right over there. So you can totally swim out here. All right, so let's talk a little bit about just kind of like the essence of Pflugerville. Okay, so I would say Pflugerville is definitely gonna be one of like your classic Texas suburbs. And you know, growing up coming to Austin, I think a lot of people have kind of viewed Pflugerville as like one of the places where people go who, like, if you really wanna live in Austin but you just can't afford it, just move out to Pflugerville. And you know what, now, I would say, honestly, that still kind of applies. Now, I will say that Pflugerville over the last several years has definitely kind of developed its own kind of cultural identity. You know, you've got the quintessential, really tiny little old downtown with a lot of boutique shops and like a brewery, coffee shop, things like that. But I would still say there are like a majority of Pflugerville residents who, like, if they were really brutally honest, they really want to live in Austin or maybe even Round Rock. It's just Pflugerville happens to be a lot more affordable. But here's what I'd say, like, if you find yourself in that position and you're like, man, I really like the prices of Pflugerville and it's where I'm gonna end up, it's a pretty darn good place to end up. So like I talked about in the map portion of this video, you know, there's a lot of conveniences, a lot of great retail here. Like, you will not lack or like want almost anything living in Pflugerville. And I would say for sure, Pflugerville is definitely like one of the most family-friendly, family-oriented suburbs in all of the Austin, Texas area. They have like tons of events out here for people, individuals, families, kids, whatever. There's like, they really play up the Pflugerville. So you've probably already noticed Pflugerville is spelled with a PF. So there's like the Pflugerfest. But at the end of the day, if you're gonna end up in Pflugerville, it's a pretty darn good place to end up. Okay, so the first neighborhood that we wanted to get you into here in Pflugerville, Texas is called Edgebrook. So I think Edgebrook is a really interesting option because it's definitely like the lowest priced brand new construction homes that you can get in Pflugerville. And on that note, technically we're not in Pflugerville. It's kind of cheating. So we're technically in like very northeast Austin. We're in an Austin ETJ, don't even worry about what that means, but it is a Pflugerville post office and kids who live here will be zoned to Pflugerville ISD. So like, to me, 1 + 1 + 1, it equals Pflugerville. Okay, so a couple things to note about Edgebrook. One is because it's in the Austin ETJ, the tax rate is incredibly low and you don't have to pay like mud taxes, PID taxes, and all that crap. So the total tax rate for this neighborhood is 1.69%. Normally in the Austin area, you're gonna see 2.5%, 3%, sometimes even upwards of 3.5% annual property tax rates. So this rate is just like criminally low. I thought the sales rep was actually, she just made a mistake earlier when she was telling me about it, but it's true. The HOA is only $45 a month here. And the reason for that is they don't have a pool in this neighborhood, but they do have like trails, a park. There's even a pickleball court here. Now they're currently only in phase 2 of 5 total phases. So they're just a little bit less than halfway through building this neighborhood out. So let's talk a little bit about sizing and pricing. So on the very low end, homes are gonna be about 1,000, almost 1,100 square feet. And those are gonna start at about $329,000. And on the very like high-end Mac Daddy houses out here, they're gonna be right over 3,000 square feet, and those are gonna come in starting around $480,000. So around $320,000 to $480,000 is what you can expect to pay out here at Edgebrook for these new construction homes. Okay, so now that you know everything about this neighborhood, we wanted to show you the model home right behind me so you can see what one of these houses look like on the inside. Aaron, get them on in there. Now, this is a really cool option because this home comes in and kind of starts in the low 400,000s, and you get a big open kitchen, living, dining situation. Master bedroom is downstairs here, so we want to check that out. I mean, look at this, like in the low 400,000s, big master bedroom, a really nice sized master bathroom, so peep that. If you live in Pflugerville, you can make this kind of pizza. Only in Pflugerville. Is this pizza? Or brownies or?
That's definitely pizza.
You think so?
Wait.
That's pizza.
That's
Is this pizza?
It's like the square pizza.
That's a square pizza. There's no way that's brownies. Big foodie. I'm a big foodie. Okay, let's check out the upstairs.
Okay.
Ooh, check this out. Okay. I was actually not expecting this. Look at this, a really nice sized game room. This is awesome. This is just a closet. So I'm assuming over here, I'm seeing this for the first time, just like you guys, all right? So we got a big bedroom. Dude, look at the size of this bedroom.
Wow.
Kidding me? We got a teepee? This is where I would sleep. 2 twin size beds, oh my gosh. Nice big closet. All right, so now let's talk about schools in Pflugerville, okay? Because, so obviously if you're moving your family to Pflugerville, you really wanna know, you wanna be as sure as possible that you're sending them to some great schools. Even if you don't have kids in school or school age yet, or you might never, then it's still a good idea just for resale value and things like that to be in an area with a great school district or a great school system, right? So let's dive into one of my favorite websites of all time, niche.com. Great resource. I want to point you there if you want to explore, study any of the school districts or specific schools in Texas. This is a really great website to use. Okay, so what I like to do is I like to just go to the Pflugerville Independent School District main page. Okay, now here's a quick snapshot. First off, I was actually really surprised that they get an A- overall grade on niche.com because again, historically, Pflugerville has not been seen as being the best school district, but I think a lot of that is just because you've got so many great school districts surrounding it, like Leander ISD and Round Rock ISD are phenomenal. Like they are world-class school districts, and then obviously you've got Lake Travis ISD and Eanes ISD, which those are like super luxury, much more expensive neighborhoods. And so Pflugerville has been kind of seen as just like forgotten a little bit. So if you would have asked me Barrett, on your life, what grade do you think niche.com gave Pflugerville ISD? I would have thought they would have given it maybe a B plus, but probably a B, okay? I was shocked that it was an A minus, and that's a really good thing. And so let's take a look at this. So B plus for academics, I think that makes sense. A minus for teachers, that totally checks out. So many of our clients that our team has worked with, when we ask them about their school experience, one thing we often hear time and time again is how great the teachers are at their schools. Even if they don't have the best school experience overall, a lot of them have really loved their teachers. Now, B plus for clubs and activities totally checks out. Like sports, like no one's talking about Pflugerville High School's football team. I am so sorry if you're on the Pflugerville High School football team and you're watching this, but like, I'm sorry, I don't really hear about your football team, your baseball team, anything like that. A on diversity, that totally checks out. I would even say like Pflugerville in general is a pretty ethnically diverse place for sure. A for college prep, I was really surprised to see that, honestly. And then B for administration, I think that checks out. Okay, so another thing I like to do is I like to go inside of the map on niche.com, and I love this. So again, everything you're seeing in here, this is what is, if you're living inside of these lines in general, you are gonna be zoned to Pflugerville ISD. So even if you live in New Sweden or Selly, I don't even know how you say that, you're still gonna be zoned to Pflugerville ISD, all right? Okay, so I think this is super, super duper interesting. So I'm gonna get my annotation tool out here. And let's dive a little bit deeper into this. So remember I was telling you about Toll Road 130? They call it 45 right here, but everybody calls it 130. So I think there is a really interesting, used to, it was like the divide was I-35. Anything west of I-35 was seen as kind of nicer. Anything east of I-35 was seen as a little bit rougher. However, I think this is fascinating because right now in Pflugerville, the dividing line is kind of 130. So you can see we're seeing a lot of A minuses, B minus, B pluses over here on the east side of 130. That's where a lot of the new construction is happening. That's where you've got some of like the best master plan communities in the Austin area. And then you've got over here still newer stuff. You've got kind of some, there's an A minus or two, you know, you got some B minus, there's a C plus that got snuck in there. And then you see down here in southern Pflugerville, these are some of the older, I say more established, but honestly like older, a little bit rougher around the edges in parts, neighborhoods. And the schools are just not rated as highly. And again, I'm not here to tell you my opinion on that. I'm here to tell you what niche.com says. So what we're seeing, and we see this all the time in the Austin area, is like where there's a lot of new construction, typically you're gonna see better schools because, you know, it's usually newer families moving in, they wanna contribute, parents wanna be involved, and yeah, they're just more invested, I guess, or newly invested. There's a lot of new energy in making the schools as best as they can possibly be. Now, another thing I think is interesting about this, and then we'll get you back into a neighborhood, is there are only 2 high schools in Pflugerville, and I think there are 5 high schools in Pflugerville. I'm gonna fact check myself on that here in just a sec. I think there are 5. Only 2 of them are rated an A or higher, right? Or an A minus or higher, and they're both rated an A minus. I don't know why I said it like that. So Hendrickson High School over on the east side. So again, a lot of these like newer master plan communities are gonna be zoned to Hendrickson High. And then Pflugerville High School, right smack in the middle of Pflugerville, is rated an A minus. So it's really interesting that you might, if you want to go to Pflugerville High School, might have to go to a lower rated elementary school, a lower rated middle school, just to get into Pflugerville High School. And honestly, like our team knows way too much about this school system. So if you're like Barrett, again, I love Pflugerville, I want to move there, I want to explore moving there, but I want to make sure my kids or my future kids, future grandkids, have the best shot at going to the best schools. You have got to get a hold of us so that we can sit down here and do an analysis with you and really point you to the best neighborhoods that match that criteria. Yep, okay, so I'm looking at niche.com and there are 4 high schools in Pflugerville. Okay, so 2 of them are rated an A minus or higher. One's an A minus, one's an A. And then Connolly High School is rated a B. Wise High School is rated a B minus. And honestly, that is not a good niche.com rating. All right, so that's a bit about schools in Pflugerville. Now let's get you back out to an epic neighborhood. All right, neighborhood number 2 we wanted to bring you out to is called Falcon Point. Now, Falcon Point is another one of those kind of quintessential suburban Pflugerville neighborhoods. They're not building any new construction out here anymore. They wrapped that up a few years ago. Falcon Point is gonna be a neighborhood with great amenities. So there's multiple pools. This neighborhood is swarming with kids. Aaron and I were just driving into the neighborhood, just kind of getting a lay of the land. And I think school had just let out. There's a school right across the street. I think a bus had also let off kids in another part of the neighborhood. And Aaron will tell you, the neighborhood was absolutely like drowning in kids. It was crazy. So if you're the type of person who's just like, I don't want kids up on my lawn, you're probably gonna hate it here. But if you like just kind of that like vibrant, active, social families type lifestyle, you're probably gonna love it out here. But I would say for sure of all the neighborhoods in Pflugerville, Falcon Point is Pflugerville. I feel like this neighborhood truly defines what Pflugerville is all about. Again, big, sprawling, suburban neighborhood, super close to a lot of the amenities that Pflugerville has to offer, really close to retail, grocery, and things like that. You've also got the toll roads 45 and 130 right down the road, so super easy to hop on those and really kind of traverse the Austin area and get to wherever you want to be, just like that. I would say from what we've heard from our past clients in the past, the Falcon Point HOA is super active. Like they've got all sorts of events for families, kids, individuals all throughout the year. And in terms of price points out here, it's kind of all over the place because you can get like a smaller 3-bedroom, 2-bath. You can get a big old, 5-bedroom, 5-bath out here. But in general, average price range out here ranges anywhere from kind of $400,000 on the low end to $600,000 on the upper end. So it's a really great bang for your buck out here at Falcon Point for Pflugerville. All right, so the third and last community we wanted to take you inside of is probably like it's definitely the biggest, probably the oldest and most premier master plan community in all of Pflugerville, Texas. And so this neighborhood is called Black Hawk, and they actually started building it back in the late 90s, and they're still gonna be building in it for like years and years and years. And so we're gonna show you some big drone shots where you can just see like the vast nature of this neighborhood. Now, some of our absolute favorite builders build in this neighborhood. The model home right behind me is built by one of my favorite builders called Scott Felder Homes. And so in just a second, we're gonna take you through there. I mean, this is like a 5-bedroom, 5.5-bath, 3,500 square foot home. It is awesome. That's why we wanted to save it until the end here. So I think you're really gonna like it. So if you like what we're showing you out here in Black Hawk, you really like this type of home, you want something like this, you have got to reach out to us, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, and we'll hook you up with all the information that you need. All right, so just to break it down a little bit, when it comes to prices out here in Black Hawk, you're gonna be looking anywhere from the 500s up into probably the higher 800s. And I mean, depending on lot premiums, and you can go freaking insane with the upgrades out here, you could easily get into a home in the low millions. But for the most part, for most people, think 500s to 800s. Now, one of the things that people love about Black Hawk is the absolute insane amenities. So there's an original amenity center that's got, a gym, a pool, tennis courts. It's got everything, all right? There's a newer amenity center. It's also got a pool, like a 4,000 square foot gym and community center. And they're actually working on another amenity center over here on this side of Black Hawk that'll be open pretty soon. There's a golf course right in the middle of the neighborhood. It's not like an HOA maintained golf course or anything like that. You don't automatically get access. You don't automatically get like a free membership or anything like that out here. But it is a public course that's pretty well maintained. The HOA payment out here is gonna be about $120 quarterly. That's honestly not that high for all the amenities that you get out here. The tax rate is gonna be a little bit higher. It's a little bit over 2.6%. Now, right before we get you into the house, I just want you to know kind of what makes Black Hawk is the location, the sizes of homes, the quality of homes out here, and the amenities. So back in the late 90s when Black Hawk they started building out here, it was really kind of hard to get out here. But now with the toll roads 45 and 130, like we talked about earlier in the video, it is really easy to get out here. You can probably get anywhere you want to be within 25, 30 minutes. But yeah, over the last couple of years, right where toll roads 45 and 130 hit, there have just been like there's massive growth out there. So you've got a newer HEB and just tons of retail. Again, everything you could possibly want just right down the road from here. Okay, Aaron, I don't know about you, but I want to see inside that house. Shall we?
We shall.
We shall. So yeah, look at this. Huge tall ceilings, nice sliding doors to the backyard here, big open living, kitchen, dining. I mean, like, look at this island here. Like, I don't know what type of material this is, but it looks really good, so check that out. All right, let's go check out the backyard. Come on with it. Let's see. You think it's open?
Let's try it.
No. Oh, that actually wasn't as hard as I was making it look. Check this out. Okay. So I always say this, but like this right here is part of the reason that a lot of people love moving to Texas. All right, you got a great big house, safe neighborhood, great amenities with a pretty sizable backyard. I really like this upgrade that they've got out here, kind of this outdoor kitchen, like perfectly complements the outdoor dining. But like, honestly, this backyard, for me personally, I have 3 little kids and I'm not trying to spend all Saturday like mowing my freaking backyard. So to me, this is just like a really great sweet spot in terms of yard size. All right. All right, now let's go check out the upstairs. And one really cool thing about this house, I don't know if you've noticed, is that all 5 bedrooms have their very own attached bathroom, just like this. All right, so remember at the beginning of this video when I talked about how Pflugerville is one of those places that people love and sometimes they hate? Well, this is it. It's not the homes. I mean, you got great starter communities like Edgebrook, and you've got, you know, much more premier upscale master plan communities like Blackhawk. And it's really not even the schools. I mean, Pflugerville ISD is pretty solid. All right, Aaron, do you know what it is? The reason that people either love or hate Pflugerville?
What is it?
It is this, the lifestyle trade-off. So on one hand, you've got great affordability, parks, and like family-friendly amenities. But on the other hand, you do have suburban sprawl. There's a lot of busy roads, and honestly, sometimes the commutes can be pretty brutal. Now, for some people, that trade-off is 100% worth it. And for other people, it's a deal breaker. And that is why Pflugerville can end up being so polarizing. So if Pflugerville seems like your kind of vibe or not, check out some of our other suburb tours in our playlist right here.